Hello and welcome to the MSTAR training session for defining the examination structure of the school. In this screen, you will be able to enter examination rules for various class sections and multiple examinations. That is, you can enter the weightage of the exam, the pass marks and maximum marks of the exam. Before you can start defining the examination rules, please check that you have saved the activity order, that is the subject order, in the screen activity order, because the subjects get displayed in the examination rule screen only once their activity order is set. So let us see how to define an examination. Click on button MSTAR and select Module Examination. The name of the module appears on the main screen, which means that you are now working in the examination module. After this, click on the button Business Rules and select the screen Exam Rules. After the screen opens, select the current academic year, and you would see that the school board as school and exam type regular is selected by default. Another thing that needs to be noticed here is the activity type. By default, when the screen opens, it shows academic as selected. Then there is another option for non-academic. Based on whether you have selected as academic or you have clicked on non-academic, the examination rules will get created for academic activities or non-academic activities. The examination rules for academic activities and non-academic activities are different and needs to be entered separately. So let us first see creating the examination rule for academic activities. Click on the circle against the text academic and it gets highlighted. By selecting academic, it means that the examination rule screen will show us only the academic activities, that is the scholastic activities. After we have ensured these two, select the session, and after this click on the button New. When you click on the button New, a window opens and gives us the names of all the examinations which are available in the application. These are the exam names, and you can now select any of these examinations to create them. To select an examination for creating its rules, click on the row of the examination and the name of the examination appears on the main screen. This means that we are now creating the examination rules for the selected exam unit test. If required, you can also enter the examination short name. This will appear in certain reports like datesheet, etc. if defined. You can enter maximum 5 characters in this field, and both text and numeric can be entered. This is an optional field for saving the details of exam rules. In the next field, exam code, do not enter anything as it is an auto-generated examination code that gets generated when you save an examination for a class section. In the next field, class, click on the box and select the class for which you want to create the examination rules. In the next field section, select a section for which exam rules needs to be created. As you select the section, the list of all the subjects of the class section appears in the main grid, and these subjects are ordered based on the activity order that was defined in the activity order screen. In case the exam that we are creating carries any specific weightage towards the final calculation, then we have to enter the examination weightage in the box next to weightage. For example, if unit test that we have selected has 10% weightage towards the final examination or the final result, then in this box we will enter 10. We do not have to enter the percentage sign, as this field itself means it's a percentage weightage. You can enter maximum 3 characters in this field, and this is an optional field. You cannot enter text in this field, and only numbers can be entered. Also, you can enter numbers up to 2 decimal places to define the weightage. Also, the weightage cannot be entered more than 100. If you try to enter this number as more than 100, then it gives us a message that weightage cannot be more than 100. So, as we said, for unit test, if the exam weightage is 10% towards the total examination result, then we will enter 10 in this field as weightage. If the exam does not carry any specific weightage and is considered as whole, then we do not have to enter any weightage in this box. In the next field, exam level, we have these options available. In case the examination is a main evaluation, then select the option evaluation. If the examination is a sub-evaluation of another main examination, then select sub-evaluation. Or if the examination is a main exam and also a final examination of the entire academic year, then select final. For example, in case of CCE structure, if FA1 is a main examination which comprises various other sub-activities or sub-evaluations, then FA1 will be selected as evaluation while you are creating the rules for FA1, whereas for other activities like activity 1, assignment, worksheets, etc. will be defined as sub-evaluations. Since we are considering unit test as the main evaluation, we are selecting evaluation in this field. In the next field, sub-evaluation of, this gets enabled or activated only if in the exam level you have selected the option as sub-evaluation. In this case, in the field sub-evaluation of, it will give us all the examination names that have been defined as main examination or the evaluation. We will see this example elaborately when we define another examination. So, for unit test, let us just create an evaluation, and because we are selecting evaluation as the examination level, the sub-evaluation of field will be disabled. In the next field, evaluation type, you can select the nature of the examination. This is an optional field. Once we have selected the respective fields and entered the respective values, let us move on to understanding the grid subject marks. In this grid, we define the max marks, pass marks and other details of each subject for the examination. So, the first column is the category description, which is the subject category. In the next column, subject, is the name of the main subject that will appear for exam result entry by teachers. Next column is the max marks, which is for defining the maximum marks for a subject for the examination. Similarly, the next column is the passing marks, that is the minimum marks required to pass in the examination, and this also needs to be entered for each subject for the examination. Then we have the weightage column, wherein we have to enter the weightage of each subject. Now weightage needs to be entered only if exam weightage has been entered, and the formula for entering the subject weightage is 100 by the maximum marks of the subject. This will give us the subject weightage and has to be entered if exam weightage is entered. If exam weightage is not entered, then we do not have to enter the subject weightage. Next column is include in total marks calculation, which means that whether the subject has to be included as part of the total calculation of grand total for the exam. In the next column, display in report card, we can decide whether we want to display this particular subject for the examination in the report card or not. So let us now define the rules for each subject. Enter the maximum marks for the subject English. You can enter maximum 3 characters in this field. Only numbers can be entered, and number more than 100 cannot be entered. Enter pass marks for the subject for the examination. Again, you can enter maximum 3 characters in this field, and the number cannot be more than 100. You can enter up to 1 decimal place in this field, whereas in the max marks up to 2 decimal places are allowed. In the next column, weightage, as just explained, we enter the subject weightage of the subject, the formula being 100 by the maximum marks of the subject, and in this case it is 50, so 100 by 50, which calculates to 2. So the subject weightage for English for this examination is entered as 2. Once the grand total or the final result is being calculated for this examination along with other examinations, the marks obtained by the student in this subject will get converted into 100, and then 10% or the exam weightage percent of the subject will be calculated. So, to calculate the weightage of a subject for the examination, we first have to convert it into 100 and then calculate the exam weightage of that subject. In the next column, include in total marks calculation, click, and by default you get yes as the first value. This means that marks obtained by the student in English will be included in total calculation for the student for the selected exam. If you further click on this, it becomes no, which means that marks for English will not be included in the grand total for the student for the selected exam. Further click on it, it will return to yes. In the next column, display in report card, again click on the box, and by default yes comes as the first value. This means that we want English marks to be displayed in the report card for the student for the selected examination. By default, if you are making a subject to be included in total marks calculation, the display in report card value has to be yes. In the same way, we have to enter the rules for each subject. The next subject being Hindi, let us again enter the max marks of Hindi, the pass marks of Hindi, and because examination weightage is applicable to Hindi also, because we are creating the rules for the same examination, we have to enter the subject weightage. Again, the subject weightage formula being 100 by maximum marks of the subject, which is 100 by 50 in this case also. So the subject weightage will be entered as 2. Next, since we want it to be calculated in the total marks, yes in the include total marks calculation is entered, and display in report card is also ticked as yes. Proceeding to next rule for mathematics, let us now change the rule of mathematics. So click on the max marks and enter maximum marks of maths as 60, pass marks of maths to be made as 18, and in this case the subject weightage will be different by the formula 100 by 60, which comes out to 1.66. And again, to include it in the total marks, click on the cell and it becomes yes. And to display in the report card, again click in the row of the subject. Now let us again take another example for the next subject. For social science, let us enter the max marks as 100, enter the pass marks as 33, and in this case the subject weightage will be 100 by 100, which means 1. We need not enter 1 because the max marks of this subject is already 100 and therefore weightage calculation will automatically happen. So without entering the subject weightage, as 1 is taken as a default value in the subject weightage column, we proceed to the next column, which is including in the total marks. So click on yes, and display in the report card, click and make it yes. So let us again review these three cases of subject weightage with respect to the exam weightage. The subject weightage for each subject has to be entered if the exam weightage is applicable. The formula for entering the subject weightage is 100 by the maximum marks of the subject for which it is being entered. The calculation of this particular exam for these three subjects will be as follows. For example, if the child has secured full marks in English, so the calculation of its weightage will be as below. His marks secured 50 will be multiplied by the subject weightage of 2, that is 50 into 2, which makes it 100, and then the exam weightage of the 100 will be taken for grand total, that is 10% of 100, which makes it 10. So the child will secure 10 for unit test in this case. In case of Hindi, the same calculation will apply. In the next subject, mathematics, the maximum marks is 60, and if the child has secured, let us say 40 out of 60, so in this case 40 into the subject weightage, which is 1.66, will give us his total marks out of 100, and then since exam weightage is 10%, so 10% of 66.4 will be his actual marks of unit test in the grand total, that is the contribution of unit test is 10%, and for the child it will be 6.64 for the subject mathematics. In the next example of social science, if the child has secured 70, then because these are already out of 100, so 10% of 70 will get added, that is 7 will get added to the total result. Now going on to creating the rules for next set of subjects. SSC Geography, History Civics. In these cases, for example, these subjects are not applicable to this particular exam. In this case, we will enter grade for this subject as a rule, and teachers need not enter any marks or grades against these subjects. So double click on the box in the column max marks and the text GRD appears. Automatically under pass marks also the text GRD appears, which means that this subject is a graded subject or is not applicable for entering of marks for this examination. The subject weightage is not applicable in this case, and we can by default click include in total marks calculation and display in report card for these subjects, though it will not have any effect if the marks are not entered for the particular examination for the subject. The similar thing goes for History Civics. If History Civics is not applicable for this particular examination, then we can simply double click and make it graded subject. Enter rule for include in total calculation and display in report card. So now we also see that in case any subject is not applicable for entering of marks for a particular examination, it can be made as a graded subject. That would give an indication to the teacher that marks are not to be entered for the particular subject when they chooses the examination for result entry. So this way we can proceed with entering the marks for other subjects also. Again, chemistry, biology and physics, let us assume that it is not applicable to unit test. So we can just double click on these cells and it becomes graded. Now, information technology. In this, let us see it is applicable for this examination, but it has to be entered as grade. So in this case also, we can make the rule of this subject also as graded subject, and we will follow the same step. Click on the box and again double click on it. So GRD text appears both in max marks and pass marks, and we want to display in the report card and include in total marks calculation. The teachers will see graded against these subjects. In case a subject is applicable to the examination, they can enter the grade. In case the subject is not applicable for marks entry or grade entry in the examination, it has to be ignored by the teachers for result entry. The subject against which the result is entered will only appear in the report card, and other subjects will not appear in the report card, though we have to create the examination rules for all the subjects for the class section. Similarly for computer, if we want it to be ignored for this particular examination, we can make it as graded. For Gujarati, Bengali, Tamil, Urdu, Sanskrit and any other subject, we can repeat the steps either for entering the maximum marks and pass marks or entering them as graded subjects. So let us also enter the max marks or pass marks for these subjects. For subjects like games, homeroom or any other timetable related subjects, we can just make them as graded rules and they will appear as graded subjects for result entry. As already mentioned, if the teachers do not enter any marks or grades against any subject, then these will not appear in the report card, since these subjects are associated to the class section, so the rules have to be created. After we have created the rules of all the subjects for the selected examination, click on the button Save. The data saving confirmation message is received. Click OK on the confirmation message, and this saves the exam rules of the first exam that we have created. Click on the clear button and clear the screen, and let us now retrieve the examination that we have just created. So select the academic year, select session, and since we have already created the examination, now click on the view button. When we click on the view button, it will show us all the examinations that have already been saved for a class section. So we had created unit test for 6B, and here we can see the examination name. Click on the name of the examination and you will find that the name of examination gets suffixed with the session name. That means the name of the session for which we have created this examination gets added to the name. And our rules as we created are as is. Click on the clear button to clear the screen. Now if we want to create the same examination for another class is in the same session, then let us see the steps. Click on the academic year, select session and click on the view button. Select the name of the examination and rules as created for the specific class section will appear. In case the same examination name needs to be also defined for class 7th or 8th, we can directly change the class from here and select the appropriate section. As we select the section, the subjects of that class that we have selected appears in the main grid without any examination rules definition. We can proceed and define the max marks, pass marks and other details of the same examination for another class also. Remember that this examination need not be created by clicking on new for the same session. Whereas if you want to use the same examination name for another section, then we have to again select the examination using the new feature. Let us see this on the screen. I am clearing the screen, selecting the academic year and a new session. Now, because unit test has not been created even once for any class of secondary session, therefore we have to click on the new button and select the examination name as unit test and start proceeding with creating the examination rules as explained earlier. So again repeating, any examination which has already been created for any class section, the same examination can be selected for other class sections of the same session. Whereas for any other class which is part of another session, the exam name has to be selected again using the new button. Now let us clear the screen and see another examination creation for graded subjects where teachers are required to only enter the grade and not mark. So for that, select academic year, select session, and before that you have to select the section, the option non-academic, which means that a non-academic examination will be created for the non-academic or co-scholastic activities. Since the examination will be new for this particular session, click on the new button and select an examination as applicable. Select the class and select section. Once you select the section, the list of all the non-academic activities appear since we have selected the non-academic option. Now select the exam level. Since this is also a main evaluation, I am selecting evaluation as the exam level option. Sub-evaluation off will be disabled because we have selected exam level as evaluation, and we can select the exam type if it is applicable. Now coming to the examination grade part, since these are the graded subjects, that is grades are to be entered, the max marks and pass marks does not apply. So to make them as graded subject, just click on the box below max marks column and double click on the box. The text GRD appears. Since weightage is not applicable for the exam or the subject weightage because it is a graded subject, therefore it has to be left blank. Again, click on yes for including in total marks, even though since it is a graded subject, it may or may not add. It is not required to be added in the total marks, and since we want it to get displayed in the report card, click yes. Repeat these steps for other subjects also. Once you have created the exam rules for all the subjects, click on the button Save and the data saving confirmation message is received. Now you can also see that the senior secondary, that the name of the session also gets added to the name of the examination. Click on the clear button and pre-select the examination. For this, select session. Now since we have already created the examination, we have to click on the view button. But because we want to see the non-academic examination, first select the non-academic option. Click on the view button and all the non-academic examinations which have been created for any class will appear. So for 11th A we had created a term 1 non-academic examination, Click on the name of the exam and you will see the details as saved earlier appearing on the screen. Click on the clear button to clear the screen. Another aspect that we should see is creation of sub-evaluations under main evaluation. We have seen two examples where we have created the main evaluation. Now let us see an example to create a sub-evaluation under the main examination unit test that we created for class 6. Academic option is selected. Select the session, and because we are now creating a new sub-evaluation, click on the new button and select any examination which will be a sub-evaluation of unit test. Select a class, select the section, and it will display the same list of subjects as defined for the class section. Now the weightage is not applicable for the sub-evaluation, and in the next box exam level, now we will select sub-evaluation because evaluation 1 is considered to be a sub-evaluation of a main examination unit test that we created earlier. Since we have created exam level as sub-evaluation, the next field sub-evaluation of is activated, and in this we will see the name of all the examinations that has been created as main evaluation. Since we want evaluation 1 to be a sub-evaluation of unit test, select the name of the exam as unit test. Select the nature of this exam, let's say class test, and proceed. Since weightage is not applicable for the sub-evaluation, we can leave it as blank and enter other rules also. Again, for sub-subjects, if they are not applicable for a particular examination, we can double click and make them as graded subject. Once you have entered the pass marks and max marks as applicable for various subjects, click on the button Save, and the data saving confirmation message is received. So evaluation 1 has now become a sub-evaluation of unit test, and there is a separate process that we will follow for forwarding the marks of the sub-evaluation to the main evaluation, which is called exam posting. And by doing so, all the sub-evaluations marks get automatically forwarded to the main evaluation. Click on the clear button to clear the screen, and if you want to retrieve the same examination to check, click on the view button and click on the view button. You can select the session in the window, select exam, and it will show the exams of all the specific class section selected. Click on the name of the examination and you will see the rules as just created, saved. So click on the clear button to clear the screen. Now let us also see a feature to copy the marks or weightage of one subject to another subject for the same examination instead of typing it again for different subjects within the same exam. For this, select the academic year, select a session and select an exam for creation. Select the class and section. As you see, the names of all the subjects as per the class section appears in the main grid. Select the evaluation type and in case required, select the nature of the exam. After this, enter the rule for a subject for the exam, and if there are other subjects in the class section which has the same exam rule as we have just created, then instead of typing it separately for other subjects, we can replicate this subject rule to other subjects also. For this, click on the serial number of the row of the subject which needs to be replicated or copied to other subjects. The row becomes highlighted, and click on the button Replicate Marks / Weightage. Once you click on this, a new window Select the subjects to be replicated opens with a list of all the subjects as shown in the grid in the main screen. Now select all those subjects to which the selected subject rule needs to be copied to. A small tick appears against the name of the subject. Once you have selected the correct subjects for replication, click on the OK button. In case all the subjects needs to be selected for replication, you can click on the button Select All, and Clear All will clear the selection. So once you have selected the subjects, click on the button OK, and you will see that the subject rule created for English has now got replicated to other subjects that we selected for the same examination. So we do not have to repeat creation of rule for different subjects if they are same within the same exam. Now for let's see other subjects, the rule is different. So for economics, I am creating a different rule as graded because theory marks are being entered. Now we want to copy the rule of this subject into other subjects also. So repeat the steps. Click on the serial number of the row of the subject which needs to be replicated. Click on the button Replicate Marks / Weightage, and the same window appears. Now select those subjects to which you want to replicate the new rule. And click on OK button. The subject rule gets replicated to the selected subjects again. After doing so and making sure that the rule is created for all the subjects, click on button Save, and this saves the examination rule. Click OK on the confirmation message. Click on the Clear button and retrieve the examination again. Select Session and click on the View button. Select Session again and Class if you know. The examination that we created is created. Click on the name of the exam, and the rules that we just replicated and saved is appearing in the main screen. So click on the Clear button to clear the screen, and you can repeat the steps of replication of one subject rule to another in various examinations. Thank you for watching this video.